Let's go to the next topic, conspiracy theories, because I know, Dorian, for a while you were into like government cover-ups, conspiracies out there. Talk to me a little bit about some of that reading and exploration that you did.
Well, you know, I did a lot of reading, and I was exposed to a guy from England called David Icke, maybe like 20 years ago. And, you know, this was just this whole period where I was in crisis and trying to find things out. And I found out a lot of things then. But it was almost like too heavy for me, so I kind of put it on the back burner. But first of all, conspiracy theories, I mean, that's just bullshit anyway. You're putting a tag on there, it's a theory. Well, there's some things that are provable. It's provable that there's a small group of people that control the financial system, the Federal Reserve. They control the media. They control medicine. They control pretty much everything. So your perception of reality and what's real and not real is really controlled. So you got to go outside of the. I don't even watch mainstream news or read newspapers. Just a waste of time. I just filter through it. So I mean, there's a ton of stuff out there that in the mainstream media they'll tell you this story. But with a little research, guys, just do your own research. Pretty soon, a lot of things that the government and the mainstream media are telling you become blatantly, obviously bullshit and lies, because there's so much evidence to dispute what they're saying. But you have to have the time and the inclination to go and look for this evidence. And most people don't, because that's how they want you, man. They want you stressed. They want you concerned about how you're going to pay the bills this month, and running to work and running back home, and have no time to really like analyze what's going on. So when it's on the news and they tell you some guys with box cutters hijacked some planes and flew them into the building, and the whole thing blew up and fell down, and you know, we couldn't find the black box because it was so hot that the black box just got destroyed. But hey, here's the fucking terrorist passport. It's in pretty good condition as well. I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous, yeah?
Right.
So many things that are in the mainstream are just blatant lies, and our picture of what we think's black and white and right and wrong and left and right, most of the time, whatever you're being told, you can turn it upside down and then you get nearer to the truth. So people should just do their own research if they want to find out what's going on. You've got the internet now. You can find like anything. You just got like the world's biggest library, like at your fingertips. So whatever you want to find out, you can find out, and you know, do your research and weigh it up for yourself. So that's what I advise people to do, rather than focusing on one thing or another. And yeah, all these things are going on, and I did focus on them for myself, and I try to make other people aware. But really, I don't now, not because I don't know about it and I don't believe it. Yeah, I know all this stuff, but it's like knowing that you're in a prison cell. Once you know you're in a prison cell, why are you going to keep looking at the walls? Yeah, you know, I know the walls are there. I know you're there, but okay, let's try to move out of here and not focus on this all the time, because that in itself can be destructive and negative. So that's where I'm at now. I don't focus so much on those things, but I'm fully aware of them. I know what's going on, and you know, we're being manipulated all the time.
Why do you think why do you think the government took down the World Trade Center, if that's what you're insinuating?
I don't know if it's the government. There's certain groups of people that operate through governments and so on. Whoever benefits from it coming down, whoever benefited from it. What happened after it came down? It was used as an excuse to go and invade countries and so on. Let's invade Iraq. I mean, what the fuck that had to do with 9/11? Even in their bullshit story, it was nothing to do with it, right? So,
yeah.
You know, I pretty much know who and why and so on, but I think people should go find out for themselves. It's not that difficult.
Do you think there's an undercurrent, you know, that runs the government that is orchestrating all this?
There's a deep state or a dark state or whatever you want to call it. So, you know, people get all excited in the States or in England, you know, or the Democrats or the Republicans or this or that. That's just all bullshit. That's a distraction. It doesn't fucking matter if it's a Democrat or Republican or it's fucking Obama or it's Trump or whatever. It's a pantomime. It's a fucking show. Yeah, nothing changes apart from some minor dressings. Yeah, nothing changes. You're still at war constantly all the time, right?
Yep, you're right.
You know, I don't know if the politicians sometimes have good intentions, and then once they get in a position to try and do that, somebody has a word with them and like, no, you don't, you know, or they just lie and they don't come through. But, you know, for instance, Obama is going to close down Guantanamo Bay. Wow, that sounds great. Yeah, that's a good idea. Did it happen? No, didn't happen. So nothing changes. And now you got this guy, Trump, who's, you know, he used to be on the WWE wrestling, right? Didn't he?
Yeah.
What did he do there, man? Fucking get the crowd riled up, get him to love him or hate him or whatever. It's just bullshit. It's just a distraction. Stop buying into this stuff. Forget it. Who's fucking president? It doesn't make any difference.
So you think that the people who are running the world are running the world no matter what? Who's ever in power, it doesn't matter.
They've been doing it for hundreds of years.
Yeah. Who inherits that? How do you get into that inner circle? Are you born into it, in your estimation?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, if you want to study the genealogy of the U.S. presidents, the candidate with the most royal genetics always wins. There's a whole thing out there. I mean, Obama's related to Dick Cheney, believe it or not, and they're all related distantly to the Queen of England and so on and so on and so on. So people think, oh, you'd be a president of America. Anyone can do that, right? Land of the free, land of opportunity. Can they fuck anyone do that? Yeah?
Interesting. Very interesting. Let me ask you about a little more controversial subject that maybe was a little, touched me a little bit deeply. You mentioned something years back, and I always wanted to ask you about this. I never had a chance to interview you. You said that the Holocaust, you know, was an exaggeration by the Jewish people.
I say that, man. I made one post on Facebook and everyone went apeshit. Yeah?
Well, it's a very sensitive topic, that's why.
Well, there was videos on there and so on. If people want to watch them themselves, man. It's like a lot of things I don't believe about the Second World War because I've done my research. Mm-hmm. Go do your research, man. Find out. I've
done a lot of I have relatives, you know, I'm half Jewish. I have relatives who were there. I mean, so obviously there were Jews that were, you know, that were in concentration camps and that were killed. I mean, so why do you think that happened? If there
definitely were concentration camps in Europe, yeah.
I didn't hear what you said.
You know, I didn't know until I looked into it that there's 2 forensic studies in Auschwitz on the gas chambers that prove that no gas was ever used there. So, I mean, did you know that?
Well, where did all the dead bodies come from, Dorian?
Listen, I'm not going to get into all this. All the dead bodies came from starvation and typhus. That's where all the dead bodies come from. Mm-hmm. You know, but even if you touch this subject, you know, you're going to be persecuted. Many historians, even Jewish scholars, say the same thing. So, you know, they get persecuted for that. I put one post on Facebook. A lot of stores were saying they're not going to take my products. I just put a post on Facebook that I found was interesting. I put a fucking 1,000 other ones. Have a look, you know.
Yeah,
it's not a subject that I study endlessly or I'm very passionate about it. I was just look at this, what I found. Have a look, make your own mind up. That's it.
Well, it was one of the greatest genocides of all time, you know, what the Germans perpetrated on the Jewish people. So I think there's a lot of people that are very sensitive about it. You know.
That's the story we've been told. That's correct.
Do you regret putting that up?
No, not really. I don't regret that.
But do you believe that what you put up is true?
I believe in historical facts that I've read. So if you want to study the Second World War, go study the historical facts. Go do the study. Don't get your information from movies and documentaries that are all made by the same people. Do your independent study, just like on any other subject, and make your mind up. That's it.
Right, but my independent study comes from people who were actually there in the concentration camps. So
Sorry?
Wouldn't that testimonial be a little bit more accurate than historians who weren't there?
I've read lots of, seen lots of videos from people that were in the camps.
And you don't think they're lying?
Auschwitz, they had a swimming pool, football team. They had a great drama club there. So, you know, they also had concentration camps in US for Japanese citizens, as they saw them as foreign combatants. Mm-hmm. They had camps in UK for Italians, as they saw them as possible alien combatants.
Right.
So that's pretty much what they did in Europe as well.
Right, but they weren't putting them to death there. That's the only difference. Not that it was right, but they weren't putting them to death. Trying to cleanse the society of them.
Well, I don't believe they were putting anyone to death in Europe either.
All right, well, that's your opinion, I guess. Let me ask you this question. Let's change subjects.
Based on the research that I've done. Simple as that.
I'll send you a couple of Jewish people's families you can talk to. Maybe that'll add to your research and change your mind a little bit. Everyone has entitled to their own opinion. Let's talk about a different subject though, because your spiritual grounding that you have now later in life, if you had this while you were bodybuilding, do you think it would have been better? Would you have been a better bodybuilder? Would have it ruined the bodybuilding? And would you have just said, hey, this is crap I'm doing, I'm getting out of this?
I don't think so, because we're all on a physical path as well. We're not supposed to be sitting on top of the mountain and meditating all the time. We've got things to do in this world. And if I hadn't done that bodybuilding journey, then I wouldn't be able to, you know, reach the amount of people I'm reaching now. So, and it was a huge learning journey for me. Going from UK, competing, traveling the world. Without bodybuilding, I wouldn't have exposure to all this. Maybe I wouldn't even be interested in spirituality in the first place. Maybe I wouldn't be exposed to things I've been exposed to. So we're all a product of our, you know, experiences and environment. And bodybuilding was, I mean, it's massive, it's huge. It's made me the person I am.
But what if you had done like ayahuasca after the '93 Olympia? Would it have changed your whole path, or you think you still would have continued doing what you were doing with the same focus?
You have to go back in a time machine to 1993 and try and see. I don't know. I wasn't curious enough about spirituality at that point to want to do that anyway. You know, I was on a more grounded physical path at that point.
Right. It's always interesting. I always wonder, you know, like how my life would have changed if I would have had the wisdom I have now earlier in my 20s. Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. They say that, you know, youth is wasted on the young or something like that, you know. So, yeah, we're all smarter when we get older, you know. In hindsight, we're all smart, right? So, yeah, maybe, you know, people ask me, would you change this? Would you change that? I don't think so, because everything has led me to where I am now. Of course, at the time, getting injured and having to retire and everything was a disaster. You know, it was terrible. But maybe that was the best thing to happen. Maybe if that hadn't happened, maybe I'd carry on longer. You know, and everything would be different. Maybe I wouldn't be so healthy if I did it longer. Who knows? There's so many variables there. So even an injury, something like that seems like a disaster, sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. So I look at it like that. I don't want to change anything. I don't have any regrets. If I made mistakes, I made mistakes like everybody, and that's part of life. Often it's the mistakes that you learn from, really.
It's very wise.
So if you remove all the bad decisions and all the mistakes and all whatever, you wouldn't have learned so much.
No, I believe that. You know, when you see guys that you competed with, your contemporaries who have died, I mean, the list is crazy, from Nasser to Matarazzo to, and I can list them on and on. Does that depress you? Do you think that, how does that affect you?
A little bit. I mean, I remember when I heard about Mohammed Benaziza passing away, when I was in Australia actually doing some guest bowls, and it really hit me because, you know, that was the first guy that I competed with. He got first, I got second. So I felt kind of a little bit close to him, even though we didn't talk that much because he didn't speak English. But That was a shock. And then, you know, Mike Mazzarato getting sick. Also, he had a bypass operation, and I spoke to him a little bit, and so on. Sonny Smith, he also got second to me in Night of Champions, and he passed away later on, I believe, from cancer. Mm-hmm. So it was quite a few guys in that 90s period. You know, a lot of guys were experimenting. You know, that was the era. We didn't really know what we're doing, and some people were pushing the envelope too much, perhaps. Like, for instance, Ben Aziza, I don't know exactly, but I think he didn't drink any water for like a week or something.
Yeah,
and he was taking diuretics and just sucking on an apple for fluid. So just really things to the extreme, which we know now that not only is very unhealthy, it's probably not even that helpful for your physique. But back then, we were like the pioneers trying things out. We didn't really know. So unfortunately, there was a lot of casualties. NASA as well, of course.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what, everyone was like, Dorian Yates, oh, he was going to die when he's like 45, he's taking that much stuff and everything. But, I'm not saying I'm a virgin or nothing. We did what we needed to do, right? But I was always fairly analytical and controlled about what I was doing. So.
Right. Well, sometimes the people who are the most successful usually are not the ones that are most out of control, because being out of control doesn't really lead itself to success.
No, and I think a lot of it is out of frustration from guys that they don't really have the genetics for bodybuilding, and they look at people that are better than them, and they equate that, instead of saying, well, listen, maybe that guy's just got better genetics than me, and maybe it's more dedicated or whatever. It's a very simple, approach to say, he's just taking more stuff, so let me do that. So in my experience, when I talk to people, it's usually people that are amateurs, or even, I've had people come to me for consultations and to train with me, and they're on over 3,000 milligrams of combined stuff a week, and they're not even competing. I'm in shock. I'm like, where did you get this information from in the first place? Like, from the internet. So, the internet is good and it's bad. It's like, it's just information, and some of the information is bullshit. And that's why I did that thing with muscular development many years ago, where I published what I did, right, more or less. An example of off-season and contest. Off-season is the only time I did, basically experiment with the doses, just push them a little bit and see what was happening.
What was your strongest off-season cycle, Dorian?
I think when I did, it's called an Athlon in England, Anadrol over there, Anadrol 50. So I was doing like Anadrol 50, 3 a day, which is 150 milligrams.
Good amount.
And some Deca, maybe like 500 or 600 milligrams, and 1,000 milligrams of testosterone. That was probably about it in the off season. I preferred Dynabol, like 50, 60 milligrams of Dynabol for me was like, that was great. The Anadrol, I got a bit bigger, heavier, but you just have a feeling of not feeling too great and too healthy. I don't know if you've ever tried it. Probably
Can't eat. It kills your appetite.
Your blood pressure starts going real high. You don't feel great. You just don't feel that healthy when you're on it. So that was probably, I was pushing it a little bit there.
Yeah, Anadrol just seems to kill people's appetites, and if you can't eat, you can't grow. So that's a no-no.
Just a matter of milligrams. People would take 2, 3 Anadrols, they wouldn't think anything of it. But if you told them, well, take 150 milligrams of Anavar, they were like, fuck, no, that's too much. It's like, just because it comes in 2.5 milligram tabs or 5 milligrams or whatever, it's a matter of, how much your system can tolerate.
Right.
And I think Anadrol is pretty poorly absorbed. That's why they had to do them in big doses.
Right. Yeah. What? I know you worked with Craig Titus briefly for I think a year or so. What was that like?
Difficult. So, Craig, he wanted me to train him and, help him prepare and tell him all the secrets, right?
Yeah.
But I think he was very disappointed because the secret that I showed him was like, first of all, cut what you're taking by about 70%. So, I did with him what I was doing myself. I do with my other guys I was helping. Non-aromatizing, mainly anabolic stuff, coming into the contest, very little testosterone or D-bol or any of that kind of stuff that holds water. And he was looking like really good. His waist was coming in, it was looking sharp, it was looking better. But psychologically, he couldn't handle it because he was not so heavy, not so big.
Right.
And if you're starting from a point of insecurity, and you start losing size, you don't like it. I've met a lot of guys like that. They're very difficult to work with for contests because I'm telling you, you would look better if you were 15 pounds lighter.
Right.
Small separation, go on stage, under the lights, you'll look better, you'll look bigger. But they can't handle it going down in weight.
Sure.
So that was my experience with Craig. I only worked with him once. And, Craig was, I guess at that point he was addicted to recreational stuff, cocaine and Nubain and everything. So, how the hell can you go on stage and look at your best if you're doing that? It's just stress on your body all the time.
Yeah. Were you surprised when you heard, the murder thing go down with Craig and Kelly?
I don't know. It was like I wasn't that surprised. Initial shock. Wow, fuck no. And then, like, I knew all the three people involved, and I knew the situation they were in.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah. You could see how that could happen because they were going spiraling more and more into drug use, and swapping partners and all this kind of stuff. So. Yeah, dangerous territory. So when I heard that something happened, I wouldn't say it was that much of a surprise. Of course, you're shocked and you feel bad for the girl, and you feel bad for everyone involved, really. But yeah, I think shocked and surprised. Surprise is not the word, really. I could, when I was told it was like I kind of pictured in my mind how it could happen.
Knowing Craig, Dorian, if they were to let Craig out of prison like tomorrow, do you think he would go right back to the old lifestyle?
I have no idea. I haven't spoken to Craig or Kelly actually since it happened. I actually really liked Kelly. I thought she was a good, sweet girl, but Craig was very negative influence on her. That was my impression. I could be wrong. So I felt more sorry for her and obviously the girl that died. I listened to some of your stuff. He had a guy, and I can't remember his name, but he was saying that he heard it was an OD that just went terribly wrong. And that kind of makes sense to me because they would have been out of their mind on crystal meth or something. And like in that state, you're just not thinking properly. So they probably went into panic mode and did all kind of stupid stuff where they should have just picked up the phone, called the ambulance, called the police, and, let them deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. If you had to pick one person in today's bodybuilding world, the pro bodybuilding world that's competing, that you'd like to get your hands on, that you feel that you could maybe mold into a Mr. Olympia, who would it be?
Rami's the obvious guy, right?
Right.
Because he was in second place to Phil last time, and probably if he was more refined and more separated, he'd have a chance there. So I don't want to work with Rami. I'm not offering to. But yeah, he's the guy that he does have potential to actually maybe win the title and beat Phil. But I haven't seen that for a while. And since Kai could maybe possibly as well. But Kai was the same. He was always coming in too heavy, I felt.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think Rami should weigh on stage? Probably.
I don't know, man, because there's I don't know what people weigh. There's so much bullshit that people say about their weights and so on. So I have no idea what he weighs, but if it was probably somewhere in between 10 and 15 pounds less than whatever he is,
right,
that would probably be about right, I would think.
Yeah, because Chris Aceto and I have discussed this. Ronnie Coleman was the biggest human being we'd ever seen at what, 290, when he won the '03 Olympia. I mean, Ronnie's certainly not bigger than Ronnie was in terms of quality muscle. So why should he weigh more?
Is big, but he didn't have that wow factor that Ronnie had when he was at his best. Definitely not. So I don't know, man. Does it matter?
Yeah.
Does it matter what you weigh? Like it's a visual sport, so it doesn't really matter. You're going to do put on your posing trunks 275, 200. It doesn't matter, man. It's what you look like, and sometimes being lighter, you actually look bigger in that on the stage situation.
Sure. I agree. Well, I think you probably could have been 15 pounds heavier on stage, and you probably still would have been harder than everyone else, but you wouldn't have had that grainy, refined look that you had.
Well, the black and white pictures that from '93 that everyone likes, that's it is about 15 pounds or thereabouts over what I eventually ended up on stage. And Peter McGough, who's the guy that saw me, is like, if you'd have gone right in the middle of those two, that would have been perfect. He felt that I overdid it a little bit, which is that's just the nature of the way I did things. I always do a little bit too much and a little bit too less.
Yeah. In your opinion, Dorian, with the magazines kind of defunct now, the Weeders, no longer around anymore, who do you think is leading the sport in the future, and who will lead the sport into the future?
I don't know. I guess Jim Mannion's really leading the sport now, so whoever takes Jim's place, I would have thought, and I don't know who that is. There is no real, there is no one real figurehead at the moment. I guess Jim is the obvious one because we're running the Olympia and the NPC and everything like that. But you got different federations coming up, and you haven't got that, the Joe Weider figure anymore. AMI bought the Weider company and so on, but they're a big corporation. They don't have that kind of connection. So the whole thing has changed, and it's diversifying. So I don't think there will be one figurehead. Perhaps there'll be several.
Who's the spiritual leader of the industry? How about that? That's a better question.
I don't know. Maybe it's Arnold. I mean, a lot of people see Arnold as the guy that has brought more attention to bodybuilding than anyone else, and that I don't think you can dispute that. But Arnold's getting on in age, so he ain't going to be around forever, and he's got other interests as well. So, but Arnold would be, if bodybuilders collectively voted for who represents bodybuilding and who they're going to go out there and speak and represent, I guess it would be Arnold. Do
you have any desire to be that guy?
Absolutely not. No. I mean, bodybuilding is part of my life. It was a huge part, and now it's still a big part, but it's not all of my life, and it's not what I want to talk about, surround myself with 24 hours a day. I don't have that. I have other things that I'm interested in, I want to do, and I want to learn and study and travel and so on. So I don't have the time or the inclination to do that, but hopefully I'm a spokesperson for bodybuilding generally, but I don't, I have no desire to be organizing contests and things of that like, but if I'm a good spokesperson, then great, but a leader, no.
Final question, what's next for Dorian Yates? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What's your next goal that you're looking to, I don't know if it's the right word is conquer, but to achieve?
Well, I got my goals in business and in the industry. I just launched a new nutrition line in Europe called the Shadow Line, DY Shadow Line. So that's kicked off time at FIBO, and we've got a lot of promotions to do with that this year. I've got new partners, investors, and everything, so I'm happy with that. The book, of course, is out, and I'm doing my training and so on. But beyond bodybuilding, what I want to pursue is the more spiritual aspects of my life, and we're organizing a charitable foundation later this year. So some of the funds that we're making from the business, from the nutrition and everything, will go into the charitable foundation, and we'll be able to help with charitable events, and I'll have control over that. So I mean, I looked into charitable organizations, and you know, the CEO of these big charities, they're on huge salaries.
Yeah.
It's big business, and they're not really doing much to help people. You've got cancer charities out there, you know, emotionally blackmailing people and getting all this money out of them because they feel bad about people getting cancer, but they're not doing jack shit to try and help people with cancer or find a cure. No, not find a cure. There's a lot of cures out there already. It's just expose the cure, you know. But if you're getting 250, 500 grand a year from running a charity for cancer, what, you know, are you really incentivized to like tell people how to cure themselves and you don't need this fucking charity anymore? So I'm going to do my own charitable projects. We started one we're going to do next month in Birmingham, helping to feed the homeless people. I've been doing stuff already, but you know, I don't like to shout about it because I just do it because I like to do it.
I think it's important.
We're going to do it on a Sorry?
I said I think it's important that people know what you're up to because I think people respect what you do and like to emulate that.
I've been fortunate in life. All right, I've had to work hard to get where I am, but I've been fortunate that I had the ability to do that. Not everybody has that. So, you know, it's like when you're younger, at least when I was younger, you're a little bit more self-centered and focused on your own things and your own success. I feel like I've taken care of that to a degree and I feel satisfied with that. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in a position where I can try to help people generally. So that's more what I want to do in the future, to answer your question, Dave. Even thinking of opening some kind of retreat down the line, but it's a few years down the line, but that's the question you're asking. So ultimately, that's where I see myself being. Probably, I'm 56 now. When I'm in my 60s, I probably won't be going to that many bodybuilding shows and events and so on. It may be like I'm doing something totally different at that point, I think.
Yeah. Final question. If you had to give one piece of advice to the viewers watching out there, maybe aspiring bodybuilders, people who just, you know, find that you're a good figurehead for them, what would be that one piece of advice that you would give out to them that is most important?
Be true to yourself, I think. And as far as like, you know, people asking me for sound bites and bodybuilding and training, what's important there is if you're looking for a soundbite and a one-word thing, I always tell people consistency. This is about the consistency. Consistently training correctly and training hard and eating and resting and, you know, not going crazy for a couple of months and then, you know, not training or missing. You got to. This is a long-term project, and people now, especially more in these days, they're looking for a quick fix, a quick answer. They want things quickly, and nothing that's worth having comes quickly or comes easy. So you've got to be consistently doing these things to get you to your goal, whatever that is.
Dorian, I can't thank you enough for the honesty and the forthrightness and for all the wisdom that you imparted to us over these past 4 episodes. And thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule.
Thanks for having me on, Dave.
I appreciate it. And the book is available at fromtheshadows.com?
Fromtheshadow.com, yeah. It's a limited edition that's available for now. We had 1,000 copies we released on my birthday, which was last Thursday, April the 19th. And I think we're like 30% through already. So wow. In less than a week, we sold 30%. So I think in a month or so, all those limited numbered copies will be gone. So if you're interested in getting one, go visit the site and get one. If you want to wait till later and you want to get an ebook or a paperback or something that's more affordable, then they're coming anyway. So they'll be there in a couple of months.
I'm reading the book now. It's fantastic. I think you guys are going to love it. Try to go pick up a copy at fromtheshadows.com. That's going to take us to the end of another episode of Live with Dorian Yates, 6-time Mr. Olympia. I'm Dave Palumbo, and we'll see you next time.